So today, a friend of mine asked me to talk about something that they found pretty important to them. What it came down to was social media and its issues, and I kind of wanted to go over that and kind of express my thoughts on the matter. Personally, I find social media and its uses to be woefully non-pragmatic and non-useful, and ironically very non-social based off of the name. But for me, what it comes down to most of the time really isn't anything about being social or gathering together or getting to know people. In fact, it's not really a forum for that. On Twitter, you have a limited amount of characters. You can't create a dialogue. On Facebook, 90% of it is advertisement. And if you even ever try to open a company page on Facebook, you'll find that out. Pay X amount of dollars for this particular thing. Oh, you can spread yourself here and there, and you can get people to see you. Half of the videos on there are just something that rolls through. You don't even really click. You click on one video, but it just keeps playing other things that are there to draw your attention, keep you on the platform. All of it comes down to vanity and advertisement. It's a selfish desire to garner attention. I mean, 90% of the time, what do you post something on Instagram for? Do you post it because you thought that it would be really cool to share with your friends? Or because you wanted to show your friends how exciting your life is, how interesting you are, what your life is like? Maybe to brag, even if you act like it's not bragging. What do you post on Facebook for but for the exact same reason? What do you post on Twitter for other than to express something that you think because you think that thought process is better than somebody else and their thought process? It's all vanity. It's all self-indulgence. It's all to build yourself up. And some people use that to break others down. And the price of that is the lives that people lose to depression and anxiety through social pressures. People think that cyberbullying is a really big issue, but it's not the cyberbullying, more so that it's the constant exposure to negativity everywhere on all of the platforms, no matter where you go, whether it be, political or communicative in any way. The constant exposure to news, the 24-hour news cycles constantly cycling through whatever the worst possible thing that they could find. It's all vanity and negativity. Some people would call it toxic, but that word's overused, and personally, that doesn't bring anything to the table for me. The other thing is emptiness in one's life. You feel like you didn't get where you wanted to go, see the things that you want to see, address whatever it is negative in your life. You never did it, and you probably still should, but our pride and our ego gets in the way, and at the end of the day, all we do is just accept our situation, become comfortable. And because we become comfortable and our lives are devoid of meaning, we go out of our way to find it in others. You'll see people that used to be your friend or just somebody you knew from high school constantly saying, oh, I don't have friends, or oh, XYZ, just sticking the bone out there for anyone to pick up, talking about how they feel unwanted. And honestly, those people probably do feel that way. But for people who are really suffering, that stuff is not expressed. These people, on the other hand, are looking for attention. Because, like I said, their life is so devoid of meaning and so devoid of substance that they will do anything to find meaning through other people. The same thing goes for people who tend to criticize people's personal lives more than they should. Go out of their way to ridicule others just for the way that they look or the way that they act. Those people have very empty lives, and on the contrary, might even have something very negative going on that probably should be addressed. And thirdly, some people don't see value in themselves. They search for the opinion of others in order to build up the value of themselves. You see it all across the board, whether it's people who intentionally don't eat or throw up what they did eat to get themselves super, super skinny, post those pictures on the internet to garner attention, whether it be negative or positive, or the people that know they're overweight and know that it's unhealthy and still go out of their way to provocate something that they don't need to. These people value themselves through the opinion of others. Lots of people on the internet will say things like, "Oh, you're beautiful regardless." And that's exactly what these people are looking for. But mostly, the only way we can fix this, honestly, is to take a break. Stop for a little bit. Maybe realize that a lot of the negativity that goes on there is not present in the real world at all. All of the things that we deal with on a daily basis are nowhere near as prolifically negative as the things that are discussed online. Never. Nothing explodes in the manner that it does online. Nothing is so volatile. And the only reason that things escalate to the point that they have, whether it be politically, socially, whatever, has entirely been due to online negativity. But I think the biggest problem with social media now is the social media with kids. Now, I've worked in retail for quite a while, and I've worked in the restaurant industry for quite a while, and something you get to see a lot of in both of those industries is kids. You get to see little kids, 13 to 14-year-old tweens, all the way up to, their 18-year-old counterparts and above. And some adults are more childlike than you might think. But the problem is the access at which children have technology at the ages that they have it. Now, there's nothing wrong with technology. Technology is very important, and kids having access to it younger is actually really good. What it does is it provides great things for the future of technology. It brings technology to the forefront. It makes kids able to expand upon the things that we already have and become extremely knowledgeable. And, that knowledge is useful in the workplace. It's useful in daily life. This is all good. But when I, encounter kids that don't know how to go outside, have fun, get messy, get dirty, hang out with other friends. In fact, they're 8 years old, sitting at the dinner table with an iPad in their hand. It's not healthy. But the other thing that's not healthy is the age at which kids have access to technology with the advent of social media. Social media integration is included in so many things now. whether it be video games on your iPad or phone or just any kind of application. There's always the option to sign in with Facebook, sign in with Google. All of this is available to you, and just about anybody can do this. But kids that are 8 years old, 11 years old, whatever, they don't need social media. In fact, the only reason that they use it is the pressure of their peers. They feel like within themselves that they need these things just because their peers do. Now, personally, if I'm a father at any point in time, that's the last thing I'm going to let my kid have access to. They're exposed to that just ginormous amount of negativity from such a young age, and it's just not good. It's not good. Because what happens is they get exposed to things they shouldn't be exposed to. It's not that, you're telling your kids what to like and what to do. More so that you're telling your kids, this is just adult things to deal with. There are certain things that, you're supposed to learn when you're an adult, be exposed to when you're an adult, that are far more difficult to deal with than something that a kid is. And we all remember being kids. We all remember that transition from school to the real world and how much different daily life became. But the one thing that I can say is that sometimes kids just need to be able to be kids. Yes, things like teaching kids how to write a check, balance their taxes, fix a car. These things are actually, ironically, important skills in a daily life of an adult that can be taught at a young age that have been forgotten. Forgotten to teach your kids how to change a tire, how to change oil. Shoot, I don't even know how to clean their own house. I'm thinking about that now. I had to learn a lot of that on my own. And that's not good. I don't remember a single high school in my area, other than maybe one, that had shop class anymore. That had woodworking class. Anything related to trade of any kind. And honestly, that's not really important for them to go into trade if they don't want to. But what's important is being able to have these, nominal skills that everybody should be able to use. They're not hard. It's not hard as a dad or a mother. It's not hard for you to learn either. All it takes is a couple minutes on YouTube and a couple times practicing, and you have it down too. So this is not hard. This is just forgotten. The other big problem that I see, constant stimulation. Now, the brain can handle stimulation, and we all know that. In fact, I'm a gamer. I'm a nerd. I've dealt with constant stimulation my entire life. But there are problems that come with that. For instance, eye damage with constant exposure to screens. In fact, with the implementation of OLED and having 600 peak nit brightness on screens, you have blaringly bright presences. It's insane for anyone to deal with at all. But the other thing is the constant exposure to video games that even as kids we hadn't had. Sure, we played, like I'm playing now, World of Warcraft. And we played for 3 or 4 hours. Heck, when I was in middle school, we would stay up until 6 in the morning playing video games. But the overstimulation of the brain as a child is a negative thing. Especially with how young these children are gaining access to these things. I remember getting in trouble as a kid. I think it was when I was around 7 or 8, and I had a GameCube, and I got in trouble for being up at 3 in the morning on a GameCube. And now I see kids that are still in strollers holding an iPad. We used to have bedtimes. Used to be told to turn off the TV, told that you need your sleep. Now researchers are coming out saying that we not only don't get good sleep, we don't get nearly enough. In fact, we're on our phones right before bed when we shouldn't even be looking at them an hour before we sleep, so that we can actually wind down and get REM sleep, get a real night's sleep. I think the biggest thing for me personally, though, with these kids is their problem-solving skills, their developmental skills that, are learned. They're not just naturally born. Kids need to play. Need to go outside. Now, things are never going to go back to when mom and dad would say, see you later, and you'd go and be outside from morning till dusk. It's not going to happen anymore. That's just not the way of the world. But parents, go out and play with your kids. Your kids start moaning and getting upset, and instead of actually going and talking to them or hanging out with them, you hand them an iPad. I've seen it every day at work. That's not good. We need to be engaging with our kids, discussing things with our kids, being honest with our kids about the real world if they ask questions. Like I said before, sure, there are certain things that we shouldn't be exposing them to at a young age. Yes, that's very true. But even still, there are things that we can teach. And we can teach kindness and love for others. Where did that go? Because now, like I said before, that negativity and animosity towards others, that was not something that you saw on a daily basis. And in fact, I think it's because you can't say it to anyone's face. You would never say the things that some people say to someone's face. And if you do, you get your butt kicked. There is no way that you could get away with the things that you people say online. Which is why I've pulled myself basically entirely off of them. Excluding myself to rarely Reddit and YouTube and Snapchat between friends. But that's it. That's not even near the comparison of people who, hell, even Donald Trump constantly speak in more and more and more. 5 posts a day? I don't have that much to talk about, and I have a lot to talk about. It makes no sense. Now, the thing that you guys can do as parents, or just as people in general, that I would recommend. I'm not your kids, nor am I the parent of kids, and so I don't know everyone's situation. But if you still have young kids, don't expose them to this crap. It's not worth the suffering, the negativity, the constant exposure to things that they're not needing to be exposed to. And this isn't some conservative rambling about don't show the kids. Like, this is something that is not necessary for even some adults to be exposed to. Some adults just don't. I don't have the time for it. The negativity. I have too much I do in my day. I own a business. I go to work there, and then I also have a job. I'm going to college, trying to get a degree at the same time, and all the meanwhile also trying to find a new job. So this is not something that is coming from a point of view of some old dude. This isn't coming from the point of view from some hyper-conservative person that believes that children should be sheltered. I'm not a boomer. What I'm saying is we need to take a step back. We peeled open the onion way too deep, and now there's basically nothing to hide. And honestly, it's not about hiding things, but exposing yourself to the entire world constantly is never good. The world is a scary place, and people are absolutely nuts. Cancel culture, people shutting other people down for their life choices. I'm sorry if you dislike what other people have done, but nobody is irredeemable. And regardless, that's all playing into the same problem. All of this is the same problem. Hyper exposure to the world. And it's not good. We need to take a step back. Calm ourselves down. Figure ourselves out. Because it's just not realistic. And it's not coming from a place of truth. It's coming from a place of vitriol. Now, let me know what you think. If I'm crazy or if I'm sounding like I'm 47, just out of the military or something. I don't know.